I wrote, I did this to myself. I still love myself. I forgive myself. I take accountability. I can change, and being healthy is important. And so I wrote that just to like put down feelings. So I was being gentle with myself, but also being hard on yourself.
There, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't ever be saying to yourself, even if you gained weight and it was no fault, it was only your fault because you made bad choices, you can still say, I know I did this. I forgive myself. I'm going to do better. I'm going to take accountability for my health.
The fitness movement is brought to you by Zor Fitness. We offer coaching and individualized program design, as well as educational content for coaches and athletes. It's all at one place, zorfitness.com.
Oh, we don't have to wear the headphones?
Nah, I don't know. I might be doing away with that.
Really?
Because I feel like it's more of a distraction to people who aren't used to it.
It's weird to hear yourself talk.
I would hate to be like a witness in a murder. Can you imagine? I get up here like, you.
On the stand.
I'm so nervous.
It was him. He did it.
Have you ever driven drunk? Have you ever... What do they ask in a polygraph?
Oh, I don't even know. Are you a U.S. citizen?
Wait, do you have to do one of those for the military?
No, I never had to like go high enough. But I know my husband had to do one, and he was like, they asked if you like look at naked pictures of kids. They ask you like all kind of really weird. And then you're so nervous. You're like, do I? Like, you know, like, you're like, no, of course I don't. But you're just, they make it so.
Why are they asking you that?
Yeah. They ask you really, like, if you're doing customs and border and stuff too, like they do.
That actually makes me sick just thinking about it.
Yeah, they ask you. Because you're like, that was never in my mind. But now that you're asking me, like, why do I have to think about these terrible things?
I'm sweating so bad just
Have you ever
because
committed a
I don't want it
felony?
to look like I'm lying.
Do I really know who I am?
Yeah, who am I?
Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. So, you're a Lumber Capital member.
Yes.
When did you join here? We were trying to...
December 6th of 2022. That's when I did the on-ramp with you over like a week or two. And then I started coming to classes after that. I think it was about after Christmas time.
So about 2 months after we opened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When did you start with Stacey doing one-on-one nutrition stuff?
January.
Okay,
Right,
so
at the new
basically
year.
very shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why go with Stacey?
Well, so if you look at my Fitness Pal over the years, it literally looks just like this huge yo-yo. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And I was thinking, how do I'm getting so frustrated with myself because I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep, I'm always set my mind to a weight loss or whatever I'm trying to do, but I just end up going back, whatever diet I try, whatever I'm doing, it's just, there's like something that's not working. And so I was trying to reflect on what that was. And I was thinking about like back when I was in the military, I never had a problem with my weight or maintaining. And I think that there's this just accountability because you take a fitness test. And if you don't pass the fitness test, you get kicked out. So it's like a good, and your supervisor's like, all right, your fitness test is coming up. Are you in shape? Let's go running. Let me see what you're doing. And so I thought, well, if I had some accountability where I'm checking in with a coach or, they're telling me, helping me, then, when you have those gaps in motivation and you're just not quite there, you have somebody that can say, how you doing? Like, are you coming to the gym this week? Haven't seen you in a couple days. Here's you check in every week with your pictures and your measurements. And so even when you don't really feel like it, and maybe back when I would have fallen off a program or whatever, you have somebody that's there. Yeah. And so you're like, oh, I got to check in with my coach. So I'm going to do it. And even that just a little bit helps you in the gaps of life. Having someone to answer to. Yeah. And it's not like a negative thing. Like she's never like, what are you doing? Why aren't you at the gym? It's like a very positive reinforcement and community was another thing that coming to Lumber Capital is a community and people are like, when are you coming tomorrow? Are you coming tomorrow? And if you don't come for a few days, someone's like, are you sick? What's going on? And if you go to Planet Fitness or anywhere else, like you could go every day for 6 months and then stop one day and no one's going to ask where you are. No one's going to, there's no community of people. So I found that to really be like fill the gap in my problems. Cause I'm hardworking. I know I can do it. I've done it before. I had lost like 80 pounds after I had my kids. And then I just started gaining it back. And so I was like, I know that I can do it and I know that I can put in the work, but I'm like, I'm just missing something. Like there's just something that's missing to help me like complete the whole picture. And so that's what I kind of figured was having accountability and, investing in a community and, caring about people and getting to know people in your gym. That's really like helped me, that I don't feel like today is kind of serendipitous because today was my goal weight. That at least my first goal weight to see where I was at. Like I met that this morning. And for the first time, I don't feel like
Is that the first
it's
time you saw that?
immediately going to come. What?
Was that the first time you saw that? You at your goal weight?
No, I've been at my goal weight before, but it just, when I met my goal weight, it immediately was like, task complete. I'm done. You know what I mean? So it was
time to go celebrate.
Time to go celebrate with some margaritas and some nachos, and it was or
Some
you're
fondue.
Yeah,
right,
some ice
some
cream.
yeah, and so and also a lot of times a lot of diets that you're on where you meet your goal weight is restrictive, and so I think when you meet your goal weight, you're so glad it's just finally over and you don't have to restrict and not eat any carbs or not eat anything that you like to eat. And so when you meet your goal weight, you're finally like, oh, it's over. And then you overeat anything that you were missing that whole time. And so it's like the odds are kind of stacked against people in this country, in my opinion, as well, because everyone's busy. Fast food is everywhere. Restaurants give huge portions. Takeout is huge portions, and a lot of the easiest things are super high calorie, unhealthy things. And so it's harder, I think, than in some other places, but it's not impossible, but you just have to be aware. That was like my number one tip is being aware of your obstacle. Because some people, if they just knew what they were up against, they'd be like, okay, I'm a stress eater, so I got to be careful when I'm having a hard day not to eat a bunch of snacks. And if they knew that, they could control it. And that was my thing. I kept going, every time I go on vacation, I get back and I just can't, I'm not working out. I'm still eating and drinking alcohol that I was drinking on vacation. I'm kind of like trying to continue my vacation almost.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's happening every time. And I'm getting back from vacation and like gaining another 15 pounds. And I know that in my brain. And so I'm thinking like, what? So now like when I go on vacation, I'll talk to Stacey about it. Like, I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to eat some extra protein. I'm going to go on walks or I'm going to do some movement. And then when I get back, it's like...
Feels like you kept the ball rolling a little bit.
It's like day one, I'm back. Here's what I'm eating, coming to the gym. And I tell her and she's like, cool. And then within the week, whatever kind of bloat I had usually just comes back off. And I'm like, I had a fun vacation and I'm meeting my goals. And it's like a balanced like lifestyle, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think that challenge-wise, I think that was probably over the last few months... Those were some of your biggest ones. There were a lot of vacations and you know, how am I going to navigate that and what should I do? And, I don't want everyone to think that I'm not fun anymore.
Right.
And so there was
a
lot of
this, I can't eat that.
There was a lot of working through those things. And I remember you being just really proud of yourself when you got back that you were able to really stick to it, but still have fun,
Yeah.
That was good.
That feels, and it's for some people, I remember texting her. I know that for some people, this might be like, how is this even a thing? Like you're proud of yourself. But I remember getting something at a restaurant when I was on vacation and I like cut it in half and I put it in a box and I texted my husband, hey, I'm going to bring you home half of what I ate. Normally I would have eaten the whole thing because I'm like from a plate finishing family and we didn't have a lot of money. So going out to restaurants was really special. And so whenever we went out to restaurants, it was like eat. And I'm like, it's probably not going to taste great later, leftovers. And so my brain is always just like, eat the whole thing. You're at a fun restaurant. But I didn't. And it was the half I had was delicious. I had like a side salad instead of fries or something. And I felt like so totally satisfied and good about myself. But I still got to eat something really good. It was like a mac and cheese brisket wrap or something. It was so good. And I was like, people probably do this like their whole lives, like put half in a box and take it for later. But I was never that way.
Yeah.
So I texted her. I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. I know it's kind of stupid, but like this is...
I think probably most people wouldn't. I think they probably would eat until they felt sick.
Overstuffed.
Yeah. But that's one of my favorite tips to give to people is when you go out to a restaurant, they overserve you, ask for a to-go container and put it away immediately and only eat what's on your plate and then either take the other half home or just...
Yeah. That also feels like, again, if I was raised the same way, or it's like you finish your plate.
Yeah, you sat there until you were done.
Yeah, you sat there until you were done. So
it's like, what are you doing?
It kind of, to a degree, it's not like you're getting rid of that completely. It's like, I'm not wasting this food. I'm taking it with me so that someone can enjoy it later on. And
Right.
And that way it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to finish it or throw it away. It feels like,
Right.
oh, I can have someone else enjoy this.
Yeah, or you can enjoy it twice tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
And just get
it really
over...
is that easy. Yep.
Yeah. Or if you ate some and then you feel like it's not enough for a to-go container, so you feel like you should just eat it, like there's 5-6 bites left or whatever, that you just have to get over that because you're full. Especially if you're full, if you're completely full and you're just like, all right, I'm just going to eat it just because I don't want to waste it.
I don't want to offend anybody.
I don't want to, I don't want him to have to throw it in the trash or, especially coming from a family who doesn't want to waste food either, That's my mom used to scope out the table and she'd be like, are you going to finish that? All right. Are you hungry for seconds? And she's dole out everybody's food to make sure she would eat whoever's leftovers. That's another thing I kind of broke myself of is I would eat my kids' leftovers because I didn't want to waste it. So you're eating your whole dinner and then you're like eating chicken nuggets and whatever else they didn't eat too because you're like, well, I don't want to waste it. So how many calories of like not even food that I want to eat and I'm not even hungry. I'm just consuming extra calories just because I don't want to waste food. And I don't want to waste food, but now I'll just put it in a box and I'll try to air fry it the next day. Or I have, my husband's like 6'1", ex-army. I'm like, you eat the extras, like I don't need to eat the extras.
Yeah, you can have it.
So but it's a time investment in the beginning to learn about yourself and have those hard conversations with yourself about like, there's a quote that I like that's, if your puppy pees on the floor, take a newspaper, roll it up and hit yourself in the head. Because basically saying that like, you need to notice, like, you need to notice that he just drank a whole bowl of water or that he's wiggling around. So try to notice yourself. What am I doing that's making me feel this way? And be conscious of yourself. And I try to do that in my life. Like if my kids are acting up around a certain time, I'm like, all right, how can I change this if I can? Sometimes you can't control things, but a lot of times you could do something, anything to control the situation better, have the outcome come out better. And so I had to have a lot of tough talks with myself. And I was gentle with myself, but hard on myself at the same time, not negative self-talk, but like, you did this to yourself. Like you were at your goal weight and then, 30 pounds on, 15 pounds off, like just the weight just kept coming back and forth. I was dieting like for vacation. Like I'd be like, all right, I have vacation in 2 months, diet. I go on the vacation and I'm like, all right, vacation's over. Yeah. So I would, and then gain. And then every January, it's like, my goal is to lose weight again. Starting and it's over. Very mentally draining. It's like shameful. Mm-hmm. Like, how can I have my whole life together, career, no problem, work hard, this and that, beautiful family, but I like can't control my weight. Like it's like very shameful. And so you feel like you're like not really in control, but you have to realize that you are in control of what you eat. I mean, you're not always in control of if you have a really busy day, maybe you can't get to the gym, but like, you're in control of what you eat and you can do it. It just seems like really hard when you're in it that you're like, what do I do? So I loved all the coaching from Stacey and like, sometimes if I was kind of stagnant, she's like, what have you been eating? What are you doing? And I've been like, I've been just living off of protein bars and coffee and my kids are sick and I'm tired. And she'd be like, all right, well just, drink water, eat some veggies. Yeah, let's tighten it back up and like try this week to not eat processed food, junk food. And like, let's see. And just like talking to her and getting encouragement enough is kind of enough to like snap back and be like, okay. Because I'm the type of person, I know a lot of trainers and coaches aren't this way, but I'm the type of person that as soon as anything happens in life, my health just goes up on the shelf in the attic. And I'm like, I'll see you when I'm not busy. And that is not good for you.
I think that's normal.
That's normal for a lot of people, yeah.
That's the first thing that goes.
I would say like, everybody's got different coping mechanisms. A lot of people who like spend a lot of time in the gym, like that is their coping mechanism. Like if they don't feel good, they often just do it anyway. And that's always not a good place to be. Like, so, and food is even like probably a more extreme thing because it's more of, I feel like it's typically a more like emotional driven thing for a lot of people, or at least it can be a good chunk of the time. And especially if you're really stressed or busy or like you got a lot of anxiety or something, right? Like that's, it makes a big difference.
I had the kind of the emotional aspect too, where a lot of the weight gain that I was seeing was I would, have a hard day with my kids. Like I had 2 toddlers, like 2 and 3 years old. And I'd have a hard day with them, and I couldn't wait till they like went to bed, and I would like have my like wine and snacks, and I'd be like, I need like my wine or my snacks or whatever, or like just a dinner by myself when they're not trying to eat my food, or I just would have kind of this like late night, a lot of extra calories in it, and it was really just me being like frazzled, I think, of just being the stay-at-home mom and being with the kids all day. You kind of get frazzled by the end of the day, and instead of like taking a walk or working out or just anything, I would kind of just turn to like food. And so one thing I just made a choice, and I said, I'm not going to eat when like, because I'm upset, like purposely to make myself feel better. If I'm hungry and I'm upset, like I can have proper meals at proper times. I'm not going to like starve myself or anything like that, but I'm not going to go out and eat or drink alcohol with the purpose of making my day better or making myself feel better, because that like dopamine lasts for like 10 minutes. And then whatever made you stressed, whether it was work or whatever, relationships or whatever made you stressed out, is like knock, knock, knock. You just ingested 3,000 calories of snacks, but I'm still here. So it's then, the next day you're like, you're still stressed out because of the same things. So, finding like a healthier ways, walking, exercise, or just being grateful, like starting out with, I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful that we're healthy. I'm grateful that even smallest, like we have a house to live in, and kind of starting there. Because sometimes when you're having a tough time, it's good to go back to the beginning and list everything that you're thankful for. And then you're like, all right, like I'm having a tough moment, but I didn't have a bad day. It was just a tough 5 minutes or whatever the case, and kind of like whatever you can find. Some people like meditate, dance party, anything that you can find that's not just like comforting yourself with food or alcohol or whatever, because it's just hurtful to you in the end. It's like a little Band-Aid that just a little bit later, you just are going to feel the same way. And it didn't really help you. So that was a big conversation I had to have with myself. And I think a lot of people go through that. Like life can come at you with a lot of different stressful things, and it's easy to just pick up something quick to help you feel better. And, but then, all the negative things come in, like the weight gain, diseases, diabetes, anything that comes in. And now you're like, all the stresses of life are still there, but now you have health issues. Yeah. So
I think it's important to figure out, like people think that when they come to me that they're just going to learn about food, and they don't realize that they're going to also learn about triggers, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, like, okay. And I tell people straight up, like, you're going to mess up, it's going to happen, but we just have to figure out why and what triggered it. And so what behaviors can you replace those things with, kind of like what you're saying. And what are you going to do with the mess up? Like, are you going to learn from it, or are you going to, what are you going to take away from it? Like, okay, had a lot of fun this weekend. I should probably drink my water and eat my veggies on Sunday and get back on track. You don't wake up on Sunday and say, well, messed up on Saturday, I might as well just keep it rolling.
Right.
You have to figure it out, what kind of set you off, and how can you change that next time. So
yeah,
that's
and I
good.
think something I do that's helped is I actually eat. I feel like I have more, not even treats, but like your donuts, or I have things that I like all the time, almost every day, so that, like we talked about, being deprived and then overdoing it later. Like if you're like not a trainer that's like, I can eat broccoli and chicken every single day and I love it. If you're a normal person that likes to eat food,
no
thanks. And you're or the chickpeas and the broccoli. If you're a normal person that likes to eat food, find a lower, there's so many good like macro friendly Instagrams or recipes.
For sure, yeah.
And you can find, different even treats or things that you can substitute and make lower calorie. I'll make protein ice cream or whatever. And so then when I take my kids, I'll take my kids out to ice cream, I don't feel like I need to have that because I've been on a diet and I haven't had this ice cream in a month because I'm treating myself to lower calorie things that I can have more of. Or, if you we went out to pizza yesterday, my mom wanted to take the kids out for pizza and I didn't have any, but I've had like macro friendly pizza or I'll make it on like a low calorie English muffin or a flatbread or because I make those things for myself when I crave them. And I'll have normal pizza or normal this or that and you can fit it in. But I find that when I fit it in, it leaves me kind of the rest of the day. It's hard to balance everything out. So I'd rather kind of make my own treats and make my own. So
you can eat the same amount
so
of
I
food.
can eat more. I want to eat more food. I don't want to eat less food. Sure. So, if one piece of pizza is like all my fat for the day, I'm going to be eating egg whites the rest of the day. I'm like, I'd rather make my own macro-friendly pizza and then I can eat whatever other things. Yeah. So balance, like achieving balance is important. I think having the add in mindset too, like instead of saying no soda, I'm never going to drink soda, just saying, well, how about I add in more water? I'm going to add in like 5 more cups of water. Mm-hmm. And then you're probably going to drink less soda because you're drinking a lot more water. And then you're going to see the benefits from it and be like, wow, I'm losing so much weight from just adding in more water. Because I think a lot of people, when you take something away in their brain, they go, oh, you're taking it away. And it's so hard for them. Yeah. Instead of saying, add it in, add the healthier thing in, add more vegetables in, say, well, I'm not going to say no pasta, but I'm going to add a lot more vegetables. Yep. And so you're naturally going to get fuller, more fiber, and you're going to eat probably less of whatever.
Yeah. I feel like you do that a lot with people. I also suggest that, like basically if you eat real food, especially like vegetables, again, almost like the mindset of add as much in as you want, basically. Am I putting words in your mouth? I feel like that's accurate.
As far as eating more veggies?
Yeah. It's almost being free to a certain extent of again, the more of the mindset of hey, you get to add all this in and there's going to be very little downside if you eat a lot of food doing that.
Yeah. So I give them a goal that they have to reach daily as far as veggies, and they don't always love it at first, but once they start eating all of it, they're like, I can't believe how much food I'm eating. I've never eaten this much food in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. If you, season veggies well and cook them the way you like them and they're delicious, and then you get to eat so much. Yeah. It's a lot of food.
Yeah, it is a lot. Sometimes you're even I'm full.
Oh, I get
which is a great feeling though. Especially if you're, things are moving in the right direction the way you want them to, from whatever, aspects you're measuring. And then it's also and I feel full a lot of the time.
They love it. I get messages and they're like, are you sure I should be eating this much food? I'm sure. Just eat the food.
Yeah, that's amazing. And sauces too. A lot of times you can make a good lower calorie sauce to put. And that's one thing I used to be like, never can have ranch. Ranch is terrible. It's so much fat. It's going to make you fat. And now I'm like, well, if I plan it in and that's what I love to eat vegetables with, and I measure it out, and I have a little hack where I'll put a tiny bit of water in it to make it a little thinner, and then that's what I put all over my salad. Because I would find if I put certain super low calorie vinaigrettes on there, I'm like, I don't really like this. It doesn't.
Right. So you have to like what you're eating. You have to and I tell people that I'm like, don't if you don't like broccoli, don't eat broccoli. If you don't want to eat chicken and rice every day, don't eat chicken and rice every day. Yes, you can eat what you want, but you also have to eat what you need. Yeah. But you have to like it.
And the more that you eat of what you need, the more you want to eat that.
Yeah, your taste, you start to acquire the taste for it.
People first start eating vegetables if they grew up in a household where for a reason just ate very little vegetables. It's they don't like it at first, and then slowly over time, it's man, I haven't eaten anything green today. I feel like crap. You start to recognize vegetables. That sort of thing. You start to crave the right things.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think the last time I tried, when we say flexible dieting, that's when you have a certain amount of protein and, macros to hit. It was kind of the how much junk food can I fit in diet. I would say that was I would always add in junk food and then be all right, I want to eat Pop-Tarts and I want to eat all these things. And then this time I said, I don't want it to creep up to be how much junk food can I fit in? I want it to be where I'm healthy and I feel good. And then I still have, food that I like to eat that tastes good. It's not just going to be like, let me try to plow in as much junk food as I can, and then I'll eat like egg whites and protein shakes the rest of the day.
Yeah. So when I first started counting macros, it's funny that you said that. It was mostly people that were like, if it fits your macros, like didn't matter what they were eating, what it was, as long as they were hitting their protein, carbs, and fats. It was like, well, geez, I can fit
protein powder and Cheerios,
half of a pizza, 3 donuts, and 4 protein shakes in my macros. It's like, that's terrible. And I just, for a while I kind of would fit some fun stuff in too, but the longer that I started doing it, and also I became vegan, I realized that, and it's no big secret, but the higher quality your food is, the better you're going to feel, the better you're going to perform all around. So it's definitely, I teach people quality first for sure, and then you can put in the fun stuff.
Yeah, and it's almost always like at the detriment of, again, if a lot of people are listening, they're like trying to lose weight, like food volume. Yeah. Like you're not going to eat as much if you're eating, donuts and protein powder. Like you drank 16 ounces and had 6 bites and it's gone, versus like if you have that with like a salad and some grilled chicken or something, like you're eating like a huge bowl of food and it's going to take you a while.
Yeah.
And you see that so fast. Like it takes a little bit to get used to, but then you'll just start to notice when you're looking at the nutrition labels, you're like, oh, sheesh, this is like this smoothie from wherever. They must have added a bunch of juice to it because it's like, 70 grams of sugar in this smoothie or whatever. You could become really like aware, and you're like, if you want it, you're like, how can I make that healthier at home but still taste good? Sure. Like your donuts, I usually eat I'll eat 2 of those a day, whereas if I went and got a donut at Dunkin', which not that I'm against that, I do that sometimes, but it would be way more fat that I could eat, that I could be having later with dinner that I could have,
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things you get the hang of it really quick. Like it seems a little daunting at first, like, oh, I have to weigh my food, or I have to like look at the nutrition labels, because a lot of people don't even know how to do that. They were like, how many carbs, protein, fat, what do you mean? But you do get used to it really quick. And I have a bunch of things that are like my go-tos. I like a chocolate Greek yogurt bowl with apple slices, and I put like little pieces of dark chocolate on it, and I have that like almost every day because I like it and it's good and it's protein. And so you have things that you, even if you're like really busy and you're working, you have like your autopilot things where you can get your protein in and you can still eat things that you like. And
yeah. So you had mentioned that you had done some like macro tracking before working with Stacey.
No, I think about, it was maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I was at a CrossFit gym in Florida when it kind of first came out. I was single, CrossFit, no kids, I did CrossFit, and I did macros with a coach, like somebody at the gym there who started doing macros. And that was good. I felt like the protein was really, really high, which can also be tough because then I felt like I was just eating meat all day. And that's when I told her, I was like, I don't want to eat like 150 grams of protein a day and feel like I can't even eat like half a sweet potato and I'm over my carbs.
One more piece of fish or chicken, I'm going to yak.
And so it was really hard to keep. And I was like ripped. That was probably like the most ripped I've ever been. But I felt like, I was like, I'm not happy with what I'm eating. I'm just constantly eating protein all day. And if I ever even have one little thing that I like to eat, it puts me over, it puts me over for carbs or whatever. So I think when I told her, I'm like, I don't want to eat like a massive amount. And so right now I'm thinking I'm at like 114 grams, which is totally doable for me. And I feel like it gives me a good balance, and it's enough that I've gotten like muscular this year doing CrossFit. I feel like I'm like really muscular and my muscles are recovering well, but it's enough that I can eat like a good amount of carbs and fat and feel like balanced, I guess. Yeah. So that's important to find somebody if you get a coach and you feel like what you're eating, you're not satisfied with it because your maybe protein is way too high, or
good a coach makes adjustments for you.
So, but then again, life, I moved to the Grand Canyon, and there was no gym there.
You lived in the Grand Canyon?
I lived in I really lived in the Grand Canyon, like at the gates of the national park. I did helicopter tours there. I lived in company housing. Cool. Yeah, and so, there was no CrossFit gym there, and there was not even internet there. So I did stop CrossFit, stop macro coaching, sitting all day, and it really wasn't. There was a little gym there, So I kind of had kept the habits from macros. And so, but then I moved again. I moved to Vegas. And then I moved to Minnesota. That was probably when I gained, a lot of weight because I was at a very sedentary job. And, it was a life flight. So we were sitting all day, like you're just sitting, waiting for a call. There was a lot of bad weather there. There was a lot of like fog. And so a lot of days would be like unflyable. So we'd make breakfast and you're just like sitting, eating. And then I'd get home from a 12-hour shift where I didn't have any flights and I would just be so tired. And I'm like, I'm tired because I was sitting all day.
Yeah, exhausted from kind of doing nothing almost.
Yeah, people that are at desks or they drive to work and then they sit at a desk. And then afterwards they're like, I'm too tired to go to the gym. It's like because you've been sitting all day and you haven't been like bebopping around that I gained a lot of weight from there. And then I was going to a wedding. I was in a wedding and I was like, all right, that's my event. I'm going to lose weight for the wedding. So then I lost weight for this wedding and I felt good. And then I got married, had 2 kids back to back, gained. When I got pregnant, it was like health on a shelf. Like I don't, meat made me sick. Protein made me sick. I was like, I'm not going to track calories. I ate whatever I wanted, gained a ton of weight. And then after I had my kids, I was like, okay, here we go again. And I was really motivated to get the baby weight off. I was like, I don't want to hide in pictures for my kids. I want to take pictures with my kids. I want to be running and jumping with them and energized. And so that's when I felt like I got the most frustrated was when I started gaining weight after I'd lost the baby weight. Because I'm like, you had it all. Like, why is this happening? So it was really shameful. And it was really like, because then everyone after you lose the baby weight is like, you look so good. You look so good. You look so amazing. And then you start gaining weight and everyone like stops saying anything to you. They're kind of like, and so it's like it's embarrassing. And you're like, my mom would be like, so what are you doing now? Because I'd constantly be on like a diet, like keto or low carb, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I'd come over to her house and she's like, do you want me to make you dinner or are you doing something? Are you? And my husband would be like, what are we doing now? And I'm like, I'm doing 75 hard and I'm doing this challenge. I'm doing that. And I would do the whole thing perfectly. But when it got done, I would just be kind of like, I'd be kind of done.
So what is like the plan maybe to change it from being like, okay, I've done like a lot of like a diet where it had like this end date or I reached a goal and it's like, okay, check that off, I'm done. Like, do you feel like how are you going to be able to now make this like something that's like more sustainable, like lifelong?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the maintenance goal is basically try to like have your cake and eat it too. Live a balanced life, keep plugged into your community, to your gym, have where you don't deprive yourself, but you don't go all the way, fast food every day. Like you have to have a balance, being conscious of myself.
Yep.
And of my, like Stacey said, my triggers, like when I get back from a trip, like straight back to it. Yeah. If I, not feeling like, okay, it was so fun going to restaurants and having drinks on vacation. Like that's just how I'm going to do every day at home now. Like, cause it's not sustainable. It's not how healthy really. It's just a very short, fun time. So, not eating when I'm emotional. And so now that I kind of assessed like the problems might come in the future, that I haven't had before. But I think as long as I'm like, all right, what's going on? Like have a talk with yourself, be aware, take the time. I know that we're all busy, but if you take the time to be like, why is this happening? Am I stressed out? Is it because of my job or is it because I have no time? And, people have full-time jobs and they get off of that and they go to sports with their kids all night and they're like, I don't have time or, so do we have to unfortunately get up earlier in the morning or do we have to what do we have to do? Like, what's the newspaper on the head? Like, what do we have to do to fix it? Because I'm sure there's something, no matter whatever your problem is, there's probably something that you can do that will make you feel better. Go for a walk with your kids, like whatever it is. For me, it was having accountability. Even if I have to pay for accountability forever or anytime I go on vacation, if I'm like, I'm losing it, I'll know that I'm losing it. And I can like come back to having accountability or talking to people. Like I talk to a lot of the girls after class and what we're struggling with or what's good. And usually when someone's down, other people are up and they can encourage you. Like usually not everybody's down and out at the same time. So you can have somebody to like pick you up. But that's important. And then I started to have like a why, like a health why. Like I want to be like, I want to have grandkids that I can run around with. And like my kids are like 3 and 4. So you think like, what? That's so far away.
Yeah.
But
that's
like,
sort of the point, right?
Yeah. What you do now like really matters for your future, for diseases, to live a long life, working out, in your 30s, 40s. That's going to make a big difference even in your 60s, 70s. And so like my Nana right now is at my house. She's 82. My cute little Nana. She's watching my kids, and she has all these little things she does, like different strokes for different folks. She has like her 10 fry rule. Like she's like, whenever I eat fries, I only eat 10. I count out 10, and she's like maintained her weight. And she has all these little tricks she does that she's like, if I ever have anything with a bun, I just take half the bun off. And she's got, if I ever have cake at a birthday party, I'll have cake or ice cream, but not both, whichever one I want more that day. And she has all her little tricks she uses because she doesn't have apps and all the stuff to count calories. So she's kind of found like her way, and she doesn't keep she's like, I don't keep junk food in my house. And that's not something that I could do because my husband would like mutiny if I took away all the chips and snacks. He'd probably pick me up and shove me
Where's
out
the cheese balls?
Yeah, shove me out the door. But so you have to learn it. You're gonna have to learn to be around this stuff sometimes. Absolutely, every birthday party, every social thing that we have in this country, pretty much like has maybe a veggie tray, but it's a lot of times like the pizza, ice creams, whatever.
Maybe a veggie tray,
maybe some fruit.
Not everybody has veggie trays at their events.
You're gonna have to learn to be around it, and you can. Sometimes I want a piece. Sometimes I've brought like your donuts to like a family birthday party, and instead while everyone's having cake and ice cream, I had your donuts. Or maybe I was like, I'll plan it out the day before. I'll plan out some ice cream or whatever you want to do, but just be conscious of yourself and trust yourself. If you're like, this is what feels right, like this is working for me. You don't have to do just what your neighbor did or what your friend did just because it worked for them, because it might not work for you, and you just have to. But you have to stick with it long enough to see. Like I've taken little nuggets from every failed diet that I've had. So I have taken little nuggets and been like, I did like this, and I learned this about nutrition and blood sugar, and I've learned if I don't eat protein in the morning, like if I am busy and I run out the door and just have something, even if I ate the rest of my protein the rest of the day, I still feel a little like snacky at night because I think I started off the day without protein. Yeah. And so I noticed that. It's not terrible, but you notice little things about yourself as you go on. And it's important. And I know everybody's busy, so it's like it's easy just to neglect yourself. Yeah. But it will bite you in the butt later. So I think it's important to like take care of yourself. You can't take care of your family if you're down and out. That's for sure. So
I feel like it's a good message for moms. Like moms are always about like putting their family first.
Time for myself is selfish.
Yeah. Guilty. Yep. That mindset. So it's like, and I get that, but and then the conversation becomes like, well, if you want to serve your family the best that you possibly can, like, you are healthy, you are taken care of, like you're in a good mindset because you've had some time for yourself at some point throughout your week, or you're like, hopefully your day, like, I don't know.
Yeah. My husband says
you're a mom. How do you go about that, Stacey?
It's that whole, you can't pour from an empty cup thing. Like my family, I mean, I've pretty much, since my kids have been born, maybe not Tyler, but I've always been pretty active, and it's just always something that they saw me take time out of my day for me. So it was just kind of non-negotiable. I'm not a nice person when I don't get to do fitness. And I mean, that's a real thing. Like it centers me. It makes me feel good about myself. It makes me happy. It relieves stress. It keeps me healthy. So, all of those things can only serve my family as well, And I think, and it sets a good example for them too. I think, your kids seeing you prioritize yourself, I think then teaches them that they should also hold themselves to the same standard. And it's cool, you bring your kids in here. I've seen you in here on days when you can't get to class and doing the workout by yourself, kids and toys in tow to keep them busy. They will be okay without you for an hour. They really will. Like whether they're with you or at home with a sitter, they will survive without you for an hour a day.
Yeah, you are a lot you're a lot nicer and calmer, and you've the endorphins and everything, everything that you get. They're really. I never walked out of a workout and said, "Well, maybe the Blade, the 10-minute." But I mean, I usually never walk out of a workout and say, "Oh, I didn't want to go in there and do that. Now I'm I feel terrible after that. I always,
Shouldn't have
if
come
I'm
today.
tired, and that's another thing, I think it was like Joe Rogan or somebody who said, if I only worked out every time I had energy and I felt like it, I would be a fat F word. But it's true. And sometimes people think, well, I need to have like energy to go to the gym because you're thinking about the energy that it's going to take. But really, like, I'm tired a lot of times when I come to the gym, but that's what actually gives me energy. Like, you work out to get energy, not when you have energy.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's a big, because some people will never work out because they're tired.
I feel like, might have been me. I forget. But I think I might have wrote a blog post on that, like action feeds motivation sort of thing. Like it's
just get
it's
there.
really easy. Like, especially when I'm sitting at my desk or like doing whatever I'm doing, I'm like focusing for a while. I'm just like tired and like, I don't feel like walking out on the floor and starting to move around and do my workout. And it's like usually 10, 15 minutes into moving around, I feel great and like ready to go. Not always, but most of the time. And that's,
Yeah, it's just getting started. I always tell people, just get your foot in the door. That's all.
Yeah, just come and then
Just show up.
Yeah. You even do
That's
that.
another blog
Sometimes I'll
post,
tell
just show
myself, I'll tell myself, if you want to leave,
Remember
if you go in and then you want to
capital
leave, you can leave. Give yourself permission. Be like, if you go in there and you warm up and then you still want to leave, then you can leave if you want to. And then I never do.
Right. That's
so
actually good
I think
advice.
that's a good little mind trick. Or just if when I used to go into like a normal like YMCA or whatever, I would just be like, just go in there and in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you want to leave, then leave. Then it's fine. And then you're always like, oh, whew, I feel better. Like I'm going to keep
glad
going.
I did that.
Yeah. And it's rarely and I think once you, like we talked about being self-aware, I think you'll have those feelings like when you're getting sick or something. Like I can tell that from now than when I'm just a normal tired day. Like I can feel this difference where I'm like, ooh, I think I'm catching a little something. And it's before I just wouldn't know. I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. But you're really in tune with your body. You know when like, oh, I'm just having a normal kind of tired day. My kids woke me up a little bit last night and I need to get to the gym. Or you'll know like, oh, I'm coming down with something. I'm feeling that feeling. And you know when you can take a rest day or, you know, you can be gentle on yourself, but also like hard on yourself at the same time.
For sure.
So, not that this is the only thing that matters and your values as a human being does not rely on this, but how much weight have you lost since you've joined?
Is it 50? Like almost 50, 49 or something?
Like a poundish away from 50.
Yeah, like 50. I was like 193 and now I'm like 140. I was 144.6 this morning.
Yeah.
So I never, when I was like younger, I would, if I ever said you're going to weigh this much, I would be like, never. And it's weird because your baseline kind of starts to slowly go up. Like back when I was, I don't know, 24, 25, if I would ever be in the 140s, I'd be like shocked. Because I was always like in the 120s, 130s. I was an athlete. I was in the military. Yeah. And then you slowly start to be like, oh, if I see 150, I'm shocked. And you're like, you know, you're kind of still yo-yoing a little bit.
Sure.
And then
your normal slowly shifts.
Yeah, you kind of start to just, and I really think like I gave it, and my dad had this little like, you got fat talk with me. but he was very gentle. I came home one time and I said,
how do you be gentle about that?
Man.
Well, he said you've done so many awesome things with your career, and I saw like everything, all the hard work you've done, and everything like how fast and like hard you've worked. And he just said, but you sacrificed your health for that. Like you've worked so hard on your career.
From a place of love.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, but he was basically like, I see that. You know, he didn't say anything about my weight. He just said you've sacrificed your health for your career. Now that you have your career, you need to like focus on your health because I can see like how it's affected you or whatever. And I just was kind of 14-hour days, 12-hour days in college at the same time, just go. Like my main focus was like, what are you going to be when you grow up? And this was my like laser focus. So I really did just like, and I moved into a house, I remember in Minnesota, and I like didn't have any mirrors. I only had like one, it was the old lake house, and I had one mirror like in the bathroom, but there were like no full length mirrors. And I just like didn't buy any. And I remember I was just like started getting bigger and bigger. I didn't have a scale because I just moved across the country. I didn't really have much. And I took a picture with somebody for something and I was like shocked. I was like, there's no way that I look like that. But I just kind of buried my head in the sand and just slowly, it's winter there. You're wearing sweatpants and sweatshirts and big coats all the time. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this to myself. So then after I had lost everything, had the kids, I had 2 kids back to back, so like 11 months apart. Then when I started gaining weight again, I was like, I'm like, what? How can I keep doing this? Like, how can I keep this cycle? And I think that's really a shameful part for a lot of people is they just feel like a failure. They feel like they, and I have family members that are 20, 30 years older than me that my whole life, even up to now, I'm watching them yo-yo. And it's like, I'm trying intermittent fasting. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it just seems like it's really hard. And I think just recognizing your obstacles so that you can face them. And a lot of people are willing to do the work. They're willing to learn about themselves, but it's just, sorry. Hold on, let me see. Let's see what Nana says. Hello?
Lydia,
Yeah.
how long are you going to be yet?
And I'll be there in a little bit. Okay, well, why don't you go tell him to be quiet?
I already did. He just gave me that look.
Okay, bye.
Gave me the look.
That's my Nana, I know. That's Max and my Nana. But, yeah, so let me see if I wrote any other good nuggets in here. But don't do anything.
This is a journal?
It's like a everything journal. I'll write like cute things my kids do or like really just something that, here, I wrote this. I wrote this right when I started with you, Stacey. Where did it go?
Oh God, I hope it's not bad words about me.
No, there was I think I wrote when you wanted everything in the beginning.
Yeah, I have all this. Yeah.
I wrote, I did this to myself. I still love myself. I forgive myself. I take accountability. I can change, and being healthy is important. And so I wrote that just to like kind of put down feelings, I guess. So I was being gentle with myself, but also being hard on yourself.
There, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't ever be saying to yourself, even if you gained weight and it was no fault, it was only your fault because you made bad choices. You can still say, I know I did this. I forgive myself. I'm going to do better. I'm going to take accountability for my health and for, the things in the past, and be gentle on yourself. But you're parenting yourself, basically. Like, when I deal with my kids, like, I'm not going to let you grow up. I'm not going to let you do whatever you want. It might seem rough to you at the time because I'm parenting you, but so you have to almost parent yourself sometimes and be like, having a daughter, it's really important that we don't, say this in the mirror. Oh, I'm fat. I'm terrible. And sometimes she'll catch me doing my measurements and she'll go, what are you doing? And I say, I'm measuring how big my muscles are. Cause I don't want to say I'm fat and I'm trying to lose weight. I say I like it. And we talk about, to her, she'll want to eat chips. And I think my mom said something like, chips make you fat. And I think she had never even heard like the word fat before. Oh, and so she was like, what? Fat? And so I sat her down later and I was like, listen, you can have some chips. And I said, why don't we have some protein? Because protein helps your muscles and it makes your tummy full. And let's have some fruit. And then you can have some chips on your plate too. Chips are like a sometimes food that you have, but they don't really fill your tummy.
All of the chips.
I like that. A sometimes food.
Yeah, it's a sometimes food that is good. It tastes really good, but it's not going to fill your tummy and it's not going to give you muscles to help move your body. And so I'm trying to break that cycle of 20, 30 years ago when like all of our parents are like drinking Slim Fast and my mom's like grapefruit juice diet and yo-yo dieting. And I think a lot of that self-image can push on to your kids. So when I had a daughter, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be yo-yoing for the next 30 years and have her see me unconfident. And then,
Yeah, I think not enough parents look at it as their responsibility to their kids to be healthy. You can't make your kids eat vegetables, but you're not going to eat vegetables. You have to sort of lead the way. Take the reins on that one.
Top down.
Yeah.
Right. And activity, if they see you doing, I think it's like scientifically proven, if your kids see you doing activity, they will be more active and they will be less smoking, childhood obesity,
abuse, exercise, whatever everything. It is. It's pretty much everything.
It's everything. And it's really important. Sure. I think it's really important to give, like you said, your kids you're their role model. Like, you are it. I mean, they might have somebody else, a grandparent or an athlete, but you're like the live-in role model. And so how you talk about yourself is important. Even if you're I've been disappointed in myself, like in January. And you remember last Christmas, I sent you the picture of, I went out of town for Christmas and I had to go like buy jeans, and they were like, it was something like outrageous. They were like a size 13, and I've always been like a size 4 or 6, and I've like always like smaller, and I was like crying in the changing room, and I took a picture of myself like crying, and I was like, I am like never gonna feel this way again. And so now the mental energy that I was putting out of nothing fitting and feeling unconfident, I do like now I can put on anything in my house and I look cute, I feel confident. As far as like the benefits of that, like I don't want to be shallow, but it is a good benefit when you look at yourself and you feel confident. Good. Yeah, but so it is a little investment in your energy in the beginning, because in the beginning you still feel unconfident, and it takes a little while to see results. Yeah, you're really putting yourself
out there at the beginning.
Yeah, you're really taking a risk, but everybody pretty much knows that if you like stick to a path, if you try to be healthier, if you move a little bit more,
but even like you're saying, you feel like kind of shameful at first, almost like I can't do this on my own, so I need to get help. It feels almost embarrassing in a way, or at least it can. I think it does for some people.
Yeah, for sure, because you feel like, why can't I? And a lot of people too have such high profile, like if you go into a hospital, you'll see doctors, nurses, that you see a lot of people that you're like,
no one's excluded.
It can happen to anybody, especially if you put, like I said, you put your health on a shelf, and you're like, if you're like dietitian is like overweight, you're like, sheesh, don't you know better? But that's they're human like anyone else. They can have
for sure
divorces and problems and things where it just all the life things creep in. It's easier when it's like fast, or when it's sports season. It's so easy to get fast food because when do you have time to cook a home cooked meal? And there's just a lot of things that get into people's lives, I think, and it's hard. So I think it's to ask for help or to get accountability, to get it plug into a community. I think that's really important. For me, it was. And some people are self-motivators. They could work out every single day, and that's what they love. And they don't even need any help in that area. They could do it by themselves in their basement. Like, they don't need anybody. But that's not most people. I mean, like 75% of Americans are actually overweight at this point. So there has to be something that we do to change it, or else, it's just going to keep getting worse. So, yeah.
I'll give you the last word, but Stacey's starting up a 6-week challenge. It's going to be like a boot camp and nutrition one-on-one coaching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you want to say about
it? 6 weeks, nutrition coaching, pretty much what you heard Lydia describe.
One-on-one individualized stuff.
It'll be one-on-one individualized coaching. At-home workouts will be posted in a little private Facebook group that we have. I have a crew that's going right now, and they're doing really well. They're having a lot of fun.
I give them great results.
Yeah,
I see them in here.
Give them workouts. Saturdays they come in here and work out with me as a group, so I get to get a little bit of FaceTime with them. Overall, the goal is to lose weight, but mostly just to change habits, to keep people going, for the long term. Create habits, change habits. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are weight loss, but that's not exclusive to that either. It's like, a lot of people want to look and feel fit, confident.
Yep.
So that's what it's about too, right? And like creating those long-term habits where it's not like that yo-yo before, like a lot of people always are dealing with. It's like, not only get to where you want to be, but then keep it going too.
And it's easier to do it with a group of people.
Oh, for sure.
We come together every Saturday and we see each other and we talk about meal planning and what we're making for the week and recipes. And
it's like that accountability group.
Yeah.
So you're not only accountable to Stacey, but then you're also in a positive way. Yeah, you're gonna, you're gonna be here. Like you basically have that support structure built in already.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
That's gonna start November 12th. So we'll get that kicked off. If people are interested, email Stacey at lumbercapital.fit. FIT.
That's me.
I love that.
Yeah, she'll get you put in. We are gonna have limited spots, but we'll take as many as we can handle. Basically, make sure that people are getting what they sign up for. You got any advice in terms of people getting started? Because I feel like that's probably one of the hardest spots to be in.
The best way to get started is when you feel that little feeling that says not to, that any change, it says, don't do it or whatever. That's just your old self, not wanting your new self to come up, and not wanting, humans don't want change.
Yeah.
We don't like change.
It's the nervous feeling.
It's that nervous feeling, but change is always going to happen no matter what. So you might as well be in control of it and have it in your favor. You'd rather, get in control of your health, and then get a disease that you can't control. Get, heart attack, high blood pressure, all these things that you're at risk of. You'd rather be the one that's in control of it. So kind of hack that and say, hey, I know this fear and you're not in control of me. I'm going to kick you out, and then just start. And that's with any, maybe you want to apply for a new job and you're like, ooh, like what if, whatever, there's that little feeling, even though on paper the job like pays more, and you're like, what if I interview and they tell me no? Whatever that feeling is, like starting a business, you guys probably felt, start a business. I'm sure you weren't just like 100%, no doubts whatsoever. I'm sure there's like this little feeling in there that's like, don't do it. It's something different. It's change. But that, you have to kind of override that and say like, I'm in control and it's going to be fine, and just go for it. And it's all going to work out for the benefit, for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of people wait for the perfect time to start. And I don't think there is a perfect time to start. Something's always going to come up.
Except November 12th. I mean, that'll be a good time.
November 12th is a great day to start.
But really, my brain, when I said I'm going to start CrossFit, my brain was like, don't start until my kids are in school.
It's really easy.
That's what I thought.
It's easy to always put it off, and then you actually never start. Versus just saying, I'm just going to start.
That was 2 years from now. I'm like, don't start until your kids are in school, and then you can go to class.
Or when my husband's work schedule changes, and I don't have to take them with me. So just start, and it might not be perfect. There's times where I was bummed out because I can only come like 2 or 3 times in a week. Or I couldn't come to any classes, and I came to all like open gym where I wasn't, as motivated as a class, but it wasn't perfect, but I still showed up, and like, you'll get where you're going if you just put one foot in front of the other, for sure. Absolutely.
Lydia, thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening today. If you're someone who just started listening to the show, I would encourage you to subscribe so you can stay up to date. If you're someone who's been listening for a while, I would encourage you to rate and review the show. And lastly, the best thing that you can do to support our work is also the best thing that you can do for your performance. And that is by hiring one of our coaches. Until next time, stay the course.